Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we talk to Jay Micahelson about his book. Can you see it? It's all shiny. It's shiny and glittery. But it's not a shiny and glittery book. It's actually quite profound and very interesting read. I highly recommend it. And we're going to be talking about one of the points that you bring up in your book, and that, meditation that you describe as a technology. Yoga is like another technology that's running out there. The mass is using these technologies without a clear sense of the intention behind some of these practices, these technologies. And I'll give you an example of what happened to me. I was in yoga and we're doing hip openings. The yoga teacher loved doing hip openings. So I'm doing hip openings and I'm, kind of crying because it's painful. And then all of a sudden, I'm blissed out. And then a moment later, I'm crying. I'm sobbing on the yoga mat. I'm like, what the heck is happening to me? There's no thought in my head. I'm not thinking about, I'm sad about something or someone has passed. I'm just crying. And I think that is the risk of some of these technologies. What are kind of the things that you want people to know about pursuing things like meditation and yoga and other practices like that?
Well, I think your story, first of all, that's a beautiful story, and there is that wisdom, right? So at first, you might think something's wrong with you. What's wrong with me? We're just doing yoga, and I just
Right.
lost it. Like, what's
Yeah.
wrong with? I need to talk to my shrink, or
Right.
But as you go through the practice, first of all, we do keep talking to our shrinks, but but as you know that these things happen, right?
Yeah.
That we don't really. I think the first thing to know is that we don't know, but we do know from hundreds, if not thousands of years of experience that these energetic releases, whatever that means, do happen.
Yeah.
And they happen as a pretty predictable part of spiritual practice, whether it's yoga or prayer or meditation. And one of the many things that happened, evolving Dharma is meant to kind of be a little bit of wordplay. Mm-hmm. On the one hand, the Dharma is evolving by coming to the United States and by coming in all of these new contexts. Mm-hmm. But one of the ways it evolved is it lost its notion of evolution, which is to say how you individually evolve over the course of practice. In Asia, when yoga and meditation were taught, it was assumed that you'd kind of start at point A and eventually kind of move along and get to point B, and it wouldn't be a linear thing. It'd be up and down, and there would be all of these things that would happen. And there were all kinds of guides that were written to kind of show the way. There are actually, I think it's 17 different stages of insight that you go through a particular map. I'm not going to go through all of them, but things get better, and then they get worse, and then they get better, and when they get better that first time, a lot of people, myself included, have really profound mystical experiences. We really think we've got it. And not just like, I remember reading in Eat, Pray, Love, she has this one nice experience. I don't mean like just a nice experience. Like I've had hundreds and hundreds of those, and they're great, but okay. Now I mean like you really, this is it. And you think your life has changed.
Yes.
And you're sure that you've got it. And when you find out eventually that you don't got it, that's a huge disappointment, and it's very typical to really fall into what one of my colleagues at Brown University, where I am now, calls the dark night of the soul, based on Jonathan Frost. The idea that you really enter a dark period when you realize you don't have it and things start slipping away. And actually what's progress in practice, the sense of solidity kind of dissolving, can actually really feel terrifying. Especially if you don't have a teacher there who's guiding you. But I think the basic principle, the idea that difficult stages are part of the path, that sometimes they can even be kind of predicted a little bit, like we have these general roadmaps of where things tend to come up, and that's the point. That's okay. These are really important lessons that I think are going to be better known as people start stumbling into these stages anyway. And that example of what happened to you on the yoga mat is a perfect example where someone starting out might be really thrown by that happening and could have actually a really difficult time.
Right.
Whereas if you've done a little bit of work, you know that's part of the process.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you aptly describe is that with the great highs also come potentially, not always, but sometimes, almost in all cases with me, I literally can point to one instance where it didn't happen. These extreme highs of awareness came also with these just like sinking lows.